Are Democrats trying to block Donald Trump from entering office?
Look, the Constitution itself says in Section 3 of the 14th Amendment that anyone who is sworn an oath to support the Constitution and violates the oath by engaging in insurrection or rebellion shall never be allowed to hold federal or state office again, military or civil.
But he didn't engage in insurrection. At no point was there ever an insurrection. So how are you going to try to justify applying this? Hey, welcome back. Glad to have you. Let me know what you guys think. How worried do we have to be about the Democrats trying to block the inauguration or some sort of transfer of power, man? And wouldn't that make them the biggest hypocrites in the world? If you like the content, please like and subscribe and hit that little notification bell. I appreciate you. Well, since then, he's changed his tune a little bit. He's pulled back the rhetoric a little bit. But some stuff has come out, literally just recently in the past couple days, that has me worried about whether or not that's just rhetoric and what they might be doing in the background, man. So let's listen to him real quick.
Is there any scenario in which Donald Trump wins the election, the secretaries of state and other officials pass up all of their calls for certification, and the Democrats move against him because they don't want him to be president?
No, if that is the honest, faithful account of the election, and the certificates of ascertainment arrive from the governors, and those are honest renditions as they always have been, and there's a win in the Electoral College vote.
You know what? I don't think he expected us to win the popular vote. That's what I think. He was so strong, and he's totally lost his wind. I don't know if he expected us to win the popular vote, man.
Then it will be certified. What happened in 2020 was Joe Biden beat Donald Trump by more than 7 million votes, 306 to 232 in the Electoral College. 60 different federal and state courts rejected every claim of electoral fraud and corruption, including 8 judges who'd been named to the bench by
this propaganda artist, ignoring that it was dismissed on standing. Oh, but focusing on his felonies. Dude, this guy is a total partisan, man. Well, I wouldn't have taken that seriously if I didn't just see this from the Hill the other day from apparently 2 legal experts. Congress has the power to block Trump from taking office, but lawmakers must act now. The Constitution provides that an oath-breaking insurrectionist is ineligible to be president. This is the plain wording of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. No person shall hold office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state who has previously taken an oath to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same or given aid to or comfort to the enemies thereof. This disability can be removed by a 2/3 vote in each house. Dude, yeah, but Trump was never convicted of insurrection. Disqualification is based on insurrection against the Constitution and not the government. The evidence of Donald Trump's engaging in such insurrection is overwhelming. The matter has been decided on 3 separate forums, 2 of which were fully contested, active participation of the President Trump's counsel. What are you talking about? Dude, he was never convicted of insurrection. This is insane. The way the left tries to frame arguments, misrepresent the truth, strawman the other side, use ad hominems to demonize them, misrepresent them to the media, and then take the figure that they've built up that's not even true, and then they masquerade that around and say, doesn't this person deserve this? Doesn't this person deserve ridicule? Do these people really buy what they're saying? You're out of your mind. The first fully contested proceeding was Trump's impeachment trial on January 13, 2021, where Trump was impeached of incitement of insurrection. He was not successfully impeached. Are you kidding? Are you joking? At the trial, the Senate, 7 Republicans all joined Democrats to provide a majority conviction, but failed to reach 2/3 vote required for the removal of office. To be removed from office is to be convicted. This is a complete misrepresentation. Look at this, NPR.org, all right? Senate acquits Trump in impeachment trial again. This was a month after what they're referring to. So these people are lying to us. They're trying to use framing devices to create what sounds like a convincing argument until you really look into what they're saying. Dude, how someone feels comfortable lying like this and how people can believe that they have a genuine moral compass, because these people don't, man. Someone that's going to lie to you like this, they don't have a moral compass, man. The second contested proceeding was the Colorado 5-day judicial due process hearing where the court found by clear and convincing evidence that Trump engaged in insurrection as those terms are used in Section 3 3. The Colorado Supreme Court affirmed on further appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. The court held the state lacks power to disqualify candidates for federal office and that federal legislation was required to enforce Section 3. The court did not address the finding that Trump had engaged in insurrection. Was that the court's finding? Hold on, man, because how are they misrepresenting this? We got to pull this up real quick. This is what they're not telling you. Trump was never criminally convicted. There was a lawsuit held in Colorado. A Colorado judge on Friday found that former President Trump engaged in insurrection during the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, but rejected an effort to keep him off the state's primary ballot because it's unclear whether a civil-era constitutional amendment barring insurrectionists from public office applies to the presidency. So some leftist organization in Colorado filed a lawsuit against Donald Trump claiming that he engaged in insurrection. And then the judge sided with the plaintiffs saying, I think you guys are right in your claim that he engaged in insurrection, but he was never convicted of insurrection criminally. Then you could apply the 14th Amendment, okay? But they never did that, right? And so what happened after that? The Colorado Supreme Court, there was a judge that overturned the ruling, okay? A judge overturned the ruling from this judge right here. So this judge found that Trump was guilty of insurrection civilly, but could stay on the ballot, right? Then Colorado's highest court overturned a ruling from a district judge who found that Trump incited an insurrection on January 6th, a Capitol riot, but said he could not be barred from the ballot because it was unclear that the provision was intended to cover the presidency. And the higher courts overturned that and said, no, that civil suit can apply to preventing him from being on the ballot. And how can you justify using a civil suit to now keep somebody off the ballot? Never proven criminally in court, never meeting that standard of evidence. Finally, there's the bipartisan inquiry of the House Select Committee to investigate the January 6th attack on the United States Capitol. Oh, man. To use that as an example, Nets ignored January 6th committee destroying evidence related to the Capitol riots. Fox News Digital reported Tuesday that the hyper-partisan Pelosi picked January 6th committee failed to preserve documents and data and video depositions related to the investigation into the riots at the U.S. Capitol. In fact, all three networks have failed to report on this violation of House rules and federal law by not preserving documents. The now disbanded J6 committee, which was run by Democrats, only included 2 GOP members, has also failed to provide any evidence that it looked into Capitol Hill's security failures that day of the riot. And also one of those members was Liz Cheney, okay? Which, I mean, does that really count? More than half of the witnesses whose testimony was displayed at its 9 public hearings were Republicans, including members of the Trump administration. But who did they not allow to testify? Who did they? Could it be a certain Capitol Police chief that maybe Tucker Carlson interviewed? Maybe.
Once things got out of control, for 71 minutes, Pelosi refused to allow you to bring in the National Guard. Why don't we have answers?
It doesn't seem like people really want to get to the bottom of it, and it gets worse from there. I had a conference call with the leaders of all the law enforcement. It was a call I coordinated. Not one person on that call talked about any concerns for the intelligence, the attack on the Capitol that we were seeing that was out there. That's what's scary.
This sounds like a setup to me. I'm sorry, it does.
New Jersey State Police beat DC National Guard to the Capitol.
Wait, cops drove from New Jersey before the National Guard could get from the Armory on Capitol Hill to the Capitol. Why isn't this story everywhere?
I have no idea.
Very interesting. Very interesting. The inescapable conclusion of this evidence is that Trump engaged in insurrection against the Constitution. In particular, Trump unlawfully demanded that his vice president, Mike Pence, throw out votes in the Electoral College for political opponent Joe Biden, a power he did not have. Dude, that's also a misrepresentation. We went through already in a previous video on the entire J6 situation, how they went and changed and passed a new amendment. Look up my videos because we went through it. They had to pass an amendment to change the process of how the vice president goes through and validates the actual votes in the end. So they're misrepresenting this whole thing.
People who come to Washington, D.C. like these people who have never been there before, they're excited. They're taking pictures of everything.
Is it against protocol or rules to take photos in the lower level where they were?
No, not anywhere except for right around the House chambers. That's the only place that there's a restriction.
So there's no restrictions in doing this?
No, absolutely not. People take pictures there all the time. Why doesn't the January 6th committee show the entire video? Because they're taking pictures all up and down the hallway. When the guys near the tunnels going to the Capitol, that's where they hang the artwork that school children give. And at the other end, there is the trolleys, the trains And the kids wanted to see the trains that take the congressman to the House chambers. That's all this was. And the Capitol Police, they know this.
But it doesn't fit their narrative, so they just lie to us through omission, use that to set the permanent record, and then use that record to create some sort of narrative like we're living in the Matrix, man. Some will argue that the Supreme Court decision in the Colorado case, Trump v. Anderson, preludes Congress from rejecting electoral votes when they convene on January 6th on the basis of the 14th Amendment disqualification. This view lacks merit for 3 reasons. They're Republicans from 2020. The Democrat Party has lost their mind. They are now advocating for exactly what Republicans were advocating for in 2020. And somehow, it's different when I do it. It's different when I do it. The mantra of the hypocrite. So they got 3 reasons why they suggest we should be doing this now in 2024, even though in 2020 it was absolutely inappropriate to be attempting to reject electoral college votes. First is they're saying you don't need to pass legislation because the way it's worded in the Constitution is able to be enacted in of itself. Second, they're saying that, yeah, the Electoral College is assigned the role of validating or not validating electoral college votes. And then third, they're saying that the process for this whole thing already exists in the Electoral Count Act of 1887, which was amended in 2022, which we just talked about amending the vice president's role in this whole thing, right? They are literally arguing for what Republicans were arguing in 2020. So now they want to do what Republicans did in 2020, right? Using Republicans doing it in 2020 as the excuse. It's broken. The whole narrative is broken. These people are partisan. I don't think they're even acting in good faith here at all. Ooh. Hey, thank you so much for joining me, guys. If you like the content, please click on one of these videos. They're just like this. I appreciate it. There won't be the 2 segments today. Tomorrow will be the usual 4 segments, but today took a lot out of me. Thank you so much, guys.